Greetings everyone, and Great here with another Advanced Wars Days of Ruin Tiny Wars replay. Small on the south side as the green Hawke, and SylerSK. Small on the north side as the black Lynn. I don't know why I had trouble remembering her name. We have ari32. When it comes to COs, Ari is unchanged. Wait, I thought she was changed in Tiny Wars. Maybe not. She is unchanged. This is the unchanged version of Lynn. Either way. 50% boarding cost, 1 raise, 30, 60, 60. Of course, all units get plus 10 plus 10. Ground units get plus 20% plus 20% additional. And does have the vision effect as for a superpower. Yes, I try to do I do Advanced Wars by Web every Monday, but I didn't do it yesterday because I had 2 hours of sleep. So I had no sleep, I just had a rest. Either way, and for Hawke's technically a custom CO, and at least in the Days of Ruin Tiny Wars. 50% boarding cost, 2 radius, 30, 70, 120, max energy is 120. As provides plus 10% offense, plus 10% defense. Of course, Black Wave provides 1 health restoration, minus 1 health, costs 50 energy. And Superpower, which is Black Storm, which does provide a plus 2, minus 2 effect, but only costs 100, so you can overcharge his power to get a bit of refund going. Yep, I've seen some pretty good low-rank games, so pretty fun replays. It's also can be quite informative of what not to do. But either way, let's go ahead and get started. It's just that I try to avoid casting low-ranked games because it's one of those like hair-pulling stuff that can be. No offense to them, I know everybody has different skill levels, but some things just hair pulling. If you ever want a basic idea of how to be reasonably good in the game, avoid building rockets, avoid building missiles. That's basically step 1. Rockets and missiles. Missiles can be nice in Fog of Wars, but generally rockets don't. And I probably should mention this map. This map is a triple base map, 1 airport in the corner, so both players have access to a good amount of production field. There's also a pair of relatively safe column towers. If your opponent manages to capture them, they've probably already won the game because it's behind the HQ. Out of Tiny Wars is let's see. Comparing Tiny Wars and Advanced Wars by Web. Missiles did get a bit of buff in Tiny Wars, or in Advanced Wars, even Days of Ruin. Its max range is got buffed up to 6 from 5, so missiles are actually better in Days of Ruin inherently. There's also more aircraft options, albeit the Duster, which is still relatively rare, but there are just a bit more assets to play around and work with, to say the least. And the damage scaling between the 2 tiers, the ground tiers, are actually a little bit more equalized. Medium tanks in Days of Ruin only cost 12,000 rather than 1,600 or 16,000, and the scaling between tanks and medium tanks is greatly reduced, in which the best comparison from Advanced Wars by Web to Days of Ruin is the difference between medium tanks and neo tanks in Advanced Wars by Web, where you can actually use, in Days of Ruin, you can actually use tanks to fight medium tanks and be reasonably effective. Honestly, medium tanks feel like they probably actually could stand to get a small buff. I feel like they're a little bit too weak, but costing 12,000 makes them pretty affordable. Especially when this game's infantry costs 1,500, which actually is quite expensive. It really does add up. We do now have a mech here and a rig ready to push forward the mechs. It also feels like mechs are a bit stronger, probably because medium tanks got their effectiveness reduced. Mechs, tanks, and battlecopter has the same firepower, which means mechs are actually quite reasonable versus medium tanks. Problem is, it's hard to get mechs in range of anything. I always say mechs counter everything, but they get countered by everything. They're a double-edged sword unit. A relatively cheap double-edged sword unit costing 2,500, so they're even cheaper than Advanced Wars by Web and previous Advanced Wars. But we do have Hawke's command tank here. I also call them command tanks rather than CO tanks or CO units, just because I play too much of any other RTS, like Company Heroes, as well as played quite a bit of Steel Division and Wargame Red Dragon, where there's a lot of command units. Yeah, if you ever see me mismount something, it's because I have too many games to cover. I don't think daunting as it doesn't know the game, but offer daunting like offensive power charging means true. The CO power system is yeah, definitely a bit more risky, but it is. Let's see how I don't know how to put it. I understand the difference in the CO power since it's not guaranteed to help you even out the game. It means you really have to be smart about it. And I understand when players don't like the new CO system because the CO power systems can be both a snowball mechanic and also anti-snowball mechanic. Battlecopter, infantry, mech, and tank. If there's ever a Days of Ruin 2, I would like to see a game mode where you can select either style, the old style, the new style of CO zones. That could easily keep players homogenized in the new game as a possibility. But of course, it's going to be difficult to get any new Advanced Wars game. Because apparently Advanced Wars Reboot Camp wasn't successful enough as well. I say there's a lot of room the new system can be played around with. A good basis. Lynn's command tank here, offering plus 75, or right now plus 50, plus 15 total for this tank. Well, Forsyth still has to rely on the single CO zone, which is very large. And doesn't have power, superpower. No, I don't think that comparison is correct. Looks like Hawke is making some plays over here. Artillery pushing way forward. Some merges here. Of course, Lynn's making some great gains over here. Has both the command tank and the artillery in range. Infantry units nice and buffed up, even on top of a road. Of course, the road going nowhere. Do now have artillery, infantry, tank, and nothing else. Now artillery, rocket. Interrupts the capture there. Yep, a lot of these roads reminds me of Civ 5, early Civ 5. If anybody knows those memes. Looks like the gunboat, protective gunboat, took a massive hit there. And lands up to 1800. Her CO zone's quite small, though very effective. Mech, anti-air, tank, battlecopter. Rocket. Oh! Hawke pops this black wave. I wasn't paying close enough attention to that, so everything got -1 damage and +1 health. And of course, he gets his +20% offense and 10% defense globally as well. He restored the health of gunboat by 1 health. Very impressive. Does spot Lynn's command tank there. Battlecopter tank. Artillery infantry. Takes out the gunboat there. Wait, I thought HQ's had hide. Yeah, it has Oh wait, did they change it? Yeah, I think it was recently changed. Beforehand it said hideable units, ground and naval, but now it's just defense bonus, ground and naval. So, like air units, some units cannot be hidden on certain tiles, or most tiles. So, naval units cannot hide on top of HQs, so if you're in regular vision range, it will be spotted regardless not if you have the hidden tile revealed. There's some other things like that as well. For example, in Days of Ruin, woods only have hideable units ground, but if you go on the airport here, hideable units air and ground, so you can spot there. except the producible units is air except seaplane type. Sorry, I just find that a little bit too humorous. If I remember correctly as well, yep, woods have the grounds and naval, so if somehow get a naval unit on top of woods, it will hide it. Good artillery strikes there, so it looks like Hawke will stop the mech from capturing the HQ, has 11 capture progress remaining, and no mech nearby to join capture. It will take a bit of time there, so likely he will interrupt the capture fully. Lynn still has her command tank, could fall back, get merged right here. The rocket is making his way forward, takes the battlecopter. Does join capture there, or join units. Got 51 energy, and the artillery is in range of the command tank. That's not good. And the rocket is as well. So the rocket and artillery, this is shooting gallery for the indirects right now. So this will not go well for Lynn, I believe. She can let the Hawke can let the HQ get captured for one more turn, which does have its risks. He's at 12 energy at the moment. Artillery over here. Does take out Lynn's tank there. Gets the mech as well. Tank does not take the infantry unit there, but nothing to join capture nearby. And it's also fully dead. Here will get an easy first strike on the battlecopter. Right now, Lynn starts at 713, Hawke at 729, so they're pretty even, though Hawke does have an advantage. Get some great hits there with the mechs. Takes up the unit there. Manages to also put some rounds with the artillery, so Lynn's making great progress on the right flank, but the rocket is still in range. Hawke has the rockets. Which is a quote I thought about, because it's also Command Hawke quote. We got the rockets. I really need to add in the sound things you guys could just play. Tank, mech, tank. A lot of good hits there. Good hit there on the artillery. Does spot the anti-air there. Artillery gets inside the forest. And Hawke has 12 energy at the moment. Needs anti-airs in the region. Mechs are pushing forward. Do have a duster by Hawke. Medium tank, mech. Part of a deployment there by Hawke. Good shot there on the artillery, or anti-air. Really trying to build some more units there. Oh, that is not a good spot for the end turn for the battlecopter. Does clean up, but does spot this anti-air a little bit too late as well. Yeah, if one of our battlecopters can go down, just send in all the battlecopters. That's actually not a bad idea. I'm gonna lose a battlecopter. Oh, attack then. Getting some good strikes there. We're at 39 energy. Rocket's gonna get a strike there. Takes up the anti-air. Bit of join there. And Duster. Oh, that's a 1 health anti-air, so that's not too big of an issue. Lynn does need more anti-air assets on the field, it seems like. Making good progress on over here. 15 energy, nothing too much. Mech, anti-air push forward. Good strike there in the anti-air. She does have good amount of battlecopter coverage still. Making as much damage as possible. Finish off the tank there. Medium tank strikes, anti-air. Looks like Hawke's losing quite a bit on the flank. Hawke's rocket's down to 2 ammo. It's been constantly firing away. Takes another command tank of Lynn's. This rocket has been surprisingly effective. slow. This is the weak side versus the strong side, since there's 2 bases, 1 base here. So the rockets on the weak side is not a bad thing, assuming it can stay alive, and it's been staying alive. Does take out the Hawke's command tank. There's no black wave. Still has a number of battlecrafters over here. Mech trying to capture the HQ once again. Resupplies a mech of ammos. Bike, tank, mech, battlecopter. Does stop the capture there, hits the infantry unit there. Yeah, sorry for misinterpreting. It's not a bad system to get used to. Good hits there. Get a good strike in Duster, which does still pose a threat. Does spot the rocket, but simply cannot range it with anything at the moment. I understand. There are some COs that are pretty friendly to play and pretty simple to understand. I think Tabata's a probably decent CO to get started. Penny, of all things, is incredibly punishing when it comes to CO powers. Good shot there. Got some good picks there. Good strikes. Brock does fall back. Was actually fully out of ammo. Got a missile tank. Len's tank pushed way down south. This time the rig is fully advancing as well. She could try to get a temporary report for battlecopters. Len's 2 medium tanks here. One's quite battered and bruise beaten, but now this anti-tank has been put in the field in range of this medium tank. Puts the anti-air next to the anti-tank to get a bit more firepower into it. Medium tank's at 9% health. Battlecopter, artillery, mech, artillery. Looks like Hawke's going quite heavy in the artillery. Means I'm a bit defensive. Good kills there. There's been quite a bit of a bloodbath the entire game. Got 115 versus 103, so Lin has this ever so slight advantage. Which is, feel like starting to grow a little bit. Hawke's been going for slower defensive assets, which is something I disagree with. But right now, Lin is pulling back on this flank here. She's ran out of steam, to say the least. But she has a good core of tanks up here. The artillery, or the rocket, is in full ammo, and it's in range of the Lin's command tank, so probably should get a good shot off onto it. Gets a good shot there. Does not take out Lin's command tank there. Does get stuck or trapped on the artillery piece. Battlecopter. Anti-tank, infantry, mech. Another anti-tank here. Once again, it says Hawke is being a little bit too passive. Around a medium tank. I think, though, the anti-tank is probably a pretty good asset right here. Now the rocket has been spotted. Does get range and fully knocked out. Artillery's in range, though. There is just only one battlecopter for each year over here, so if Lin is able to, or Hawke able to get a first strike on this battlecopter, then his own battlecopter can reign supreme. So battlecopter's over a good idea. Wait, that missile's in range, isn't it? I can't see the ranges until it's his turn because of the fog of war. Yeah, right now, yep, anti-air's pretty far behind, so Lynn is lacking anti-air on the right flank. And Hawke has a decent amount of vision, yet the missile is in range of the battlecopter, takes it out, takes out that tank, gets some good kills there, has the CO power available, but of course it's command anti-air. It's not exactly quite easy to stay alive, plus there's two medium tanks in range of it. Oh, there's anti-air right there, so it doesn't have free range of the region. My bad, I didn't miss this one. 55 energy, in terms of 57 energy, Lynn has 24 energy. Could merge onto our command tank there. Good shots there. Does not spot the missile. So that missile is ready to fire once again, but of course nothing will be in range, so just keep that missile there. At least be a decent spotter. This HQ also has 10 capture progress remaining, so she will have to, Hawke will have to sack this battlecopter to interrupt the capture. Is there any way for Hawke? Wait, he has the power. He can interrupt the capture with his power. That will give him a turn. He's going to have to pop his power just to interrupt the capture, at least, because I don't think there's any easy way for him to range it either way. Pops the power there, so that interrupts the capture by a turn. Tank battlecopter, also you can restore the health of that battlecopter by 1. Infantry. Oh, temporary airport that was built right there. Oh, you can build temporary airports on roads. I didn't think you could do that. Guess you can. That would make sense. Lynn's bombers heading down south. 1 capture progress remaining, so this thing has to be fully wiped out, and that's easier said than done. Anti-tanks out of range. I don't think there's anti-tanks are out of range of everything. I don't think there's a way for Hawke to stop the HQ capture. Yep, and does go ahead and resign. His Angrade saying, "Think Washington," and on to the next replay.